want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you. What's up, y'all?
Emotional damage. Hey, I am Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
For you. I like to do the camera point because,
Because you're annoying. That's what it is. You're just annoying.
Hey, if you ever want to see what we look like, you can head to our website and all that stuff, madmanradio.com. You go to Facebook, YouTube, search Madman Radio. You can see our ugly mugs.
You can see these faces for radio.
Yeah. For some reason, we didn't decide to shave in the last couple of days, and
it's summertime,
our wisdom is showing. It's too hot to shave, man. Too hot outside.
It's bad for my skin.
I was growing up, man. My great grandmother used to say, "It's too hot for that. Anything you want to do, it's too hot for that."
That's right.
Let's go to the store. It's too hot for that. It's too hot to go to McDonald's. Too hot to do whatever.
Just stay inside, baby. Just stay inside by the AC.
Hot in her, man.
Speaking of getting hot in her, today. It's hot topics time. We're talking about dating and today.
Do people date?
People do date.
See, I'm kind of.
Or they're trying to date. Or they're wanting to date.
Some of us used to date.
Some of us used to date. Some of us gave up on dating.
Yeah. Some of us used to date a lot.
Yeah.
No, we don't date.
But
we do date, but
we date, but just maybe not in certain ways.
Anyway,
so as in being dating today, it's a challenge. And one of my friends that I've known around the area for many years, who is a mindset coach, Miss Heather Hakes, is in the building, and she's going to help us talk about dating today. Miss Heather,
how you doing, Heather?
Gentlemen, I am excited to be here.
Excited!
He's scooting us around on the screen and everything.
We want to put the lady in the middle.
Yeah,
it's a place of honor, so everybody can look at you and ignore us.
Prime real estate.
That's right.
So, share. I mean, what is a mindset coach? First of all, what is that?
I primarily work with executives, entrepreneurs, business owners. But, if anybody's ever come to a point where you feel stuck financially, stuck mentally, stuck in your health, relationships is a huge one that people have been coming to me for, I'd say like the last 6 months. But understanding that it's all mental blocks. And if you don't understand your limiting beliefs and your subconscious programming, you can never create that lasting change in your life. So that's what I help people do. Bridge the gap from where they are to where they want to be.
That's awesome. I know a lot of us could use that help because it's all in the head, man. It's all mind games.
Including dating, you said.
Especially dating.
So that's in there.
Oh, for sure.
Oh.
But what got you in here was because you've been doing some Facebook Lives about your current dating. And I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. And I wanted to bring you in because you can be our, say, lady on the street doing the dating
in a good way. In a good way. Not lady on the, not, she belongs to the streets.
Right.
Not that kind of lady.
Right. No, like the reporter. Yeah. Why you always got to
clarify?
Why you always got to go dirty?
We got guys out here, man. We need to make sure, fellas, we need to keep y'all in check. Because, we need to make sure your head is right. Yeah. So I wanted to clarify that.
So I've been watching your little Facebook Lives and I've been like, okay, she's out there, she's doing her thing. And it's been pretty entertaining. So let's talk a little bit about your experience recently, because you're like, I'm putting myself out there, and that was pretty much the last episode I saw. And I was like, okay, come on.
Well, more or less, I decided to be transparent and share because I think a lot of people are in my same shoes, but we're not talking about it. And so we feel isolated. We feel lonely. And what really ignited this is it happened in real life. Somebody approached me in real life.
IRL.
At Costco.
Wow.
And it's funny because manifestation is real. We're all manifesting every day. But I quote jokingly put that out there that I would love to meet a man at Costco that's like my ideal guy. And it happened. It wasn't my ideal guy.
Why is Costco your ideal guy?
Well, first of all, what section in Costco? This is important. What section? Like what part of Costco? Because this says a lot about whoever this was.
It was the first refrigerator aisle, so it was like in front of butter.
In front of butter.
Butter.
He's a butter dude. Okay.
So sorry.
That's where the cheese is and all that stuff.
That's true.
Too.
Yeah, it's all the dairy. Sorry for the interruption. Tell us about your dream perfect Costco guy.
Well, he wasn't the
guy. Yeah, but you manifested him.
But
a guy
getting hit on at Costco. I love Costco. It's I just love going. And I want somebody that understands that. Anyway, he had some cheesy pickup line, but it caught my attention. Something about,
weren't you in the cheese aisle?
I mean,
that's where you put the cheese.
It should have been a buttery pickup line. It should have been smooth like butter, but he was
cheesy. He was near the cheese.
Like cheese.
Well played. But you know what, for men, like, I give them a lot of courage. I know that takes a lot. And so we ended up pulling aside and we chatted for probably 15 minutes. He got my number. We made plans to meet up. We did. And then I was like, yeah, you're not my guy. But I just want people to know you can still meet in real life.
So what was the pickup line? I'm sorry, we cut you. We didn't get to that part. What's the pickup line? Do you remember?
Something about, like, you dropped something. He pointed down at my shoe and I didn't quite pay attention. And then I realized what he was doing. So, I mean, we need to know. We need some deets. I mean, we need to know what works in Costco. What's a good pickup line in Costco? All the fellas out there that head of the Costco right now, they're getting their Costco card out. They're going to fill up with gas in that long line. Then they're going inside and they're going to try to find them somebody in the butter section.
Yeah, so his line didn't work. But what would be a good pickup line in Costco for you?
Well, generally speaking, I think women don't like pickup lines. Just say hello. Give a compliment. It's something to open the door. We don't need cheesy pickup lines.
I don't know. You can't speak for all women because there's some women who love a cheesy pickup line.
Well, yeah, we'll laugh at you. But...
Well, some dig it. Some dig it. But that's the thing is because talking about finally getting approached in Costco like you wanted. We did an episode with Cleo Stiller, the author of Modern Manhood, Modern Manhood. And she was talking about the Me Too movement and how that has affected a lot of guys in dating because most men nowadays are terrified because they could get canceled. They can be
pretty much talked about on the radio. There's all kinds of things that could happen.
There's so many different things. And then, of course, guys being the ones who are supposed to approach. And then, they're supposed to take that risk, show their bravery and their courage. But then nowadays, it's almost too dangerous for a lot of guys. There's like, I don't even know if I want to approach. So maybe you should have a manifesting class for the ladies. Like, this is how you show, because we did an episode a long time, a couple of years ago, we called Turn the Light On. And it's the same sort of thing. Like, even back in the day, ladies would drop the handkerchief. And, that was the kind of like, here, I want you to approach me. Here's the green light. Yeah. And I think a lot of guys now aren't seeing any green lights. But there are a lot of ladies that we hear quite a lot going, well, the men aren't approaching me. It's like, are you turning the light on? Are you like opening the door? Are you like letting them know? Well, he should just know. We're not mind readers. It doesn't work that way.
So what's coming to mind, I've had this conversation, especially with my girlfriends. I believe the Miss Independent era swung too far to one side.
Way too far.
So all I'm saying is I am a driven, ambitious, independent woman, but I crave that masculine man where I feel secure and protected. And I know that I have to take off that masculine energy in order to open the door for him, because otherwise we repel men.
Yeah, that's what's happening quite a bit is the independent, I don't need no man, boss babe kind of thing. Basically, especially like on dating apps and things like that. And I'm a hater of dating apps. I'm just not a fan, even though I still abuse myself with them occasionally. But the whole idea of independent, I don't need no man, boss babe, basically tells a guy, there's nothing here for you. Like, every guy wants to be needed. Every guy wants to, feel respected and be the protector and the provider. I mean, and nowadays that's doesn't look like it used to look. It's one of those things. I think when people get together now, you have to have like this board meeting and go, okay, this is what I need as far as providing and protecting and yada yada yada. Because back in the day, providing was killing the for food, going out hunting, and then protecting from the savages or whatever, protecting in the elements, or bringing in the money, whatever it is. And nowadays is very different, but we do have a lot of like confusion around what is providing and protecting and presiding and all that as a guy looks like nowadays, because like you said, a lot of ladies are independent. They make plenty of money, but there's still that most ladies want somebody that's above them. There's that hypergamous thing of like, most ladies want a guy who makes more than them, or like you said, the masculine guy that you can be feminine with. But a lot of us are going, what do you want? I don't know.
I don't necessarily think there are blanket statements, because what I like, one of my girlfriends doesn't like, and another one doesn't care.
Right.
So it depends on the person. But ultimately, what I have found, we attract what we are, not necessarily what we want. So, as an example, if you want somebody self-aware, growth mindset, emotionally intelligent, financially stable, you need to be all those things as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I almost wonder though, relationally speaking, especially in a dating and attracting world or reality, whatever it is, I almost wonder if you actually attract your opposite. In other words, if you want a masculine man, you have to be a feminine woman. If you end up with a bunch of soft, mushy, what some might call beta men, it's probably because you're presenting as a dominant woman, right? And so, so I almost wonder if even in your case, there was, I would assume based on what we're talking about, that this man kind of came off as a fairly confident, kind of, somewhat masculine man, which means to me that in that moment you were shining a feminine light, not even just looks and pretty and all that kind of stuff, but I'm talking like a feminine light, because a lot of women say, well, I get my hair and makeup done and nails done and I get Botox and all that kind of stuff, so I am pretty, I am feminine. It's like, no, it's not a look, it's an essence, it's an energy, it's a vibe and all that kind of stuff. And so to me, that says in that moment you were projecting something that attracted a man that was drawn to that. And I think, I think relationally speaking, I almost wonder if, that's more of a testament to anything. And now, I mean, I'm sitting here looking at you like, man, we need to capture you and study you at Area 51 or something like that, because you are kind of going opposite what I think a lot of the trend has been. And I think that's a very good thing.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I want to bring you on is because we talk to a lot of ladies. We've been a part of like Parker Social and some of the other singles groups around, and we support them a lot. And we hear a lot of the same things from a lot of ladies. Well, where are all the good men at? And why can't I find the good men? And yada, yada, yada. And we tend to come back to the same things. It's like, well, you guys are doing the same things. You want the polarization, the opposite attract is the opposite energies. So if you can't find a masculine man, maybe you're being too masculine yourself. And so how do you get back into your feminine and then attract that man? Because nowadays, like I said, with the Me Too movement and all the other things and the feminist movement and going crazy and everything else, a lot of guys are like, the juice isn't worth the squeeze in most cases. So we are looking for, okay, who looks open, who looks feminine, who has that energy, who looks like somebody that will add to my life versus take from it or make it harder.
On that note, I would say tell a new story, because if you keep talking about and thinking about and speaking about how hard dating is and there's no good men or women out there and you're limiting yourself, and whatever you think about and speak about, you bring about. So you got to tell a new story.
Hey, speaking of telling a story,
is it that time again?
Let's tell a break story.
Break story.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Mad Men of Masculinity, KLDC, 1220 AM in the Mile High City. We'll be right back. Bomb diggity.
Yeah, when we do the breaks, we're silent for like 10 seconds so they can see it. The audio is like when she's doing the editing and stuff. And you're awesome. You've obviously done this before. I don't have to tell you to look at the camera.
Boom.
Well, I did kind of look up at him and I was like, nope.
It's hard.
It's
we have
weird
so
when
many
you're in here because you want to like talk to each other, but it's like, yeah, it's weird.
And so for those of you who are actually watching us live, who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook, we are live. And this is what happens during the breaks. We discuss topics. And sometimes this is where the funniest stuff happens that gets edited out of the radio show. Make sure you like and subscribe, hit that bell icon on YouTube, and become part of the Mad Men Mafia.
That's right. That's right. Holla at your boys.
We're trying to do good things here.
Holla at your boys.
Yes.
All right, let's roll.
Do it. And we're back. Mad Men of Masculinity, KLDC, 1220 AM in the Mile High City. And today we're talking about dating, y'all. We got Miss Heather Hakes, mindset coach, in the building.
Guy walked up to you in Costco. He said, "Hey, shawty,
get some cheese.
I got some butter over here. You like imperial? You like salted or no salted butter? Or whatever his line was. I don't know, man. By the way, salted butter is always the way to
It's
go.
the best way.
Don't ever choose unsalted butter. It's just nasty.
You need more salt in your life.
You got problems if you choose unsalted.
Unless
butter.
you're too salty. Some people
you still need salted butter. Everybody needs some salted butter in their life. The world would be a better place if we had more salted butter.
Yes.
And them freebies you get at Costco.
Oh, God. Yeah. The pizza?
Absolutely dope.
I'm about to get a membership just for the pizza.
I might get some pizza tonight, man, on the way home, matter of fact. Pizzas be cheap. Costco is like is the biggest like pizza chain in America.
Don't be teasing
they sell
me,
more
man.
pizza than anybody. Anyhow, squirrel. That's what we do, man. That's just how we roll. It is what it is. Like it. And so he walked up. So you mentioned earlier that it would be cool if a guy just walks up and introduces himself. Like there's no need. You're saying, from your perspective, I mean, you be in the target audience of said single guy in Costco or wherever else buying salted butter. And you're saying it's okay to just walk up and say what?
I think you can start with a compliment.
Like, what's a compliment? Because it could be creepy.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
You gotta be specific.
It's a guy today.
What kind of compliment?
Oh, I guess it depends what I wear. It could be like, I love your earrings, or that color looks really nice on you. Just something very simple, just to open the door. But what happened about this Costco thing, my energy changed, my vibe changed, because I haven't been approached in quite some time, which led me to getting back on the dating apps. It lasted 4 days this time. But I went in with a new perspective. And again, where we're all at, I work from home, I go to the gym, and I go to Costco. I don't get out a lot. I don't go to the bar. That's not my scene. So I decided there's more of me. There's more Heathers in the same boat. And I did go on some dates. And again, I was like, this doesn't feel good. So I got off of them.
Gotcha. I think sometimes the only difference between a guy that's really romantic and a creep is whether you think he's cute.
Most of the time, yeah.
Because, romantic guys and creepy guys do a lot of the same stuff, right? But if you think he's cute, oh, he's so romantic, look at him. But if he's creeper, then it's like, can you believe he did this and that? So anyhow.
Well, just think about like what we find cute when kids do things like, which as adults would be stalking and harassment. But when you're a kid, like, oh, that's so cute. Oh, it's puppy love. But nowadays, like,
So it's perfect. But is it perfectly okay for a guy to just walk up and say, hey, my name is Kirk, or my name is Jason, or whatever? Is that like okay in these days or no? Okay. You're making, by the way, you are like the spokesperson for women. All right. So
you're speaking for every
woman. The
Mad
Men Mafia is looking at you for tech support. No pressure. I'm just saying.
Now, again, I'm going to say women differ because I am very outgoing and extroverted, but one of my girlfriends is not. And so I'm actually helping her to get out of her comfort zone. She recently approached the guy at a gym. I don't know what she said, but something. He was totally flattered, said, thank you for doing that. It gave him a boost of energy and nothing came from it. But I think it depends.
See, when you depends is an undergarment. It can't work in this situation. Like,
okay.
We need some specifics.
I think it comes down to authenticity. If you are trying to fit in a box and you're trying to be how you think someone wants you to be, don't be you. Because if you're cheesy and outgoing and ridiculous, some woman's gonna think that's amazing and another won't. So you'll know which one is yours.
Yeah. See, that's one of the things I forgot to bring. I meant to bring a copy of our book because she's starting to take off each chapter. Because the first chapter, Go Within, in 7 Secrets of Modern Dating, the he said, she said guide to getting from single to spouse, which is on Amazon. Was it number 1 in 7 categories?
Absolutely.
Yes. So that's a project that Kirk and I are both a part of. It was Kirk's baby, and he let me join. But the first one is Go in the Mirror. So it's find out who you are, especially if you've been having issues with dating or you had issues in relationships or you keep having the same relationship with different people in the same body or the same person in different bodies. It's because of whatever your internal story is. Like Heather was talking about, the mindset and the personal traumas and the things are running your life, because most of us are like 50% of our personality is programmed by 8, 4, and then was it 85 by 8. So we're all basically a bunch of 8-year-olds running around with our trauma going, why don't people like me? Yeah. But going within.
It 100%. So one of my most recent clients, 54, very masculine energy, very driven, everything going for him, but the love department. And when we started working together, it came down to he lacks confidence around women he would be into. So he lacks confidence, lack of self-worth. Like when you really do the work, I love the quote, know your worth, then add tax. And it's not an arrogance. It's this humility, but you also have to know what you bring to the table.
Yeah. And see, I think men undervalue themselves commonly, and I think women overvalue themselves commonly. Could be wrong. I'm just saying. I think men don't give enough credit to the fact that we have value. Well, first of all, you have to have value. You got to be doing some work on you to have some value. But when you have value, you got to be able to walk into a room, a situation, walk up face to face to a woman, and you got to be able to know that value and not be afraid of that value, and not be hesitant or timid to just kind of go into whatever interaction like, hey. And I think that exudes itself in terms of when you do make that introduction, whatever that is, even if it's corny, it's like, hey, these are ABCs of me, baby, and it's like, at least you got some personality, at least you're not like the butter that's on the shelf behind you in Costco, hopefully salted. But at least having something that, you can walk into the room and just be like, hey, this is just me, and just be you, do you, boo boo. And I think a lot of guys miss out on that. And I think that's part of the reason why we don't commonly make that approach.
What would you say to that?
Which part of it?
What you trying to say? I talk too much.
So you're breaking down authenticity, and that's one of the things we talk about quite a bit, is that what tends to happen in, using the rule of thirds, usually in life, 1/3 of people are going to love you no matter what you do, and 1/3 of people are going to hate you no matter what you do, and 1/3 of people aren't going to care no matter what you do. But most of us spend most of our time on the 2/3 trying to get them to like us versus focusing on the 1/3. And the only way the 1/3 is going to know who we are is if we're being authentic and being ourselves. But nowadays we get all this advice from social media and the media and a lot of people who are marketing to us all these different things. And we've forgotten in a lot of ways, especially because of the lack of attention span, the TikTok attention span of social media now. Most people don't even know how to have a conversation. So you're talking about like, why don't guys approach me? Most guys will approach you just fine online, but in person they have lost that skill set. So it's like, we need to start having guy boot camps, like in-person boot camps. Like, hey, remember we did the rite of passage thing? Now you gotta train you how to be a real person in real life with real people.
All right, can I ask you guys a question?
Do it.
Of course.
So I have approached men in the past on many occasions because I've been told since I was a teen I'm intimidating. All right, or RBF, right? Many women are good at that. And I have definitely made moves or kind of had wingmen at the gym kind of help open the door. But I stopped doing that because for me, I feel like that is starting the relationship, me taking charge, and I don't want that. So I stopped doing it.
You mentioned it a minute ago, and I was trying to circle back to that whole. First of all, the gym has absolutely become off limits. Like, the whole string of women posting videos of guys, quote unquote being a creeper and all this other kind of stuff. Guy asked, can I help you with that? And all this, and it just turns into some viral thing of some, and all these guys keep checking me out in the gym, and I just want to work out, even though I'm wearing this thong. So on and so forth. And so, I think the gym has completely become kind of an off limits joint. Like, dude, fellas, man, we just got to go in there with a head down, do our work, and get out of there. But I think I totally agree with you in terms of, if that's how you want your dynamic to be forever, then cool, then roll with it. If it's not, then you better make sure that, you don't put yourself in a position where you're going to have to hold that space and maintain that space. If he doesn't initiate, he's not an initiator. If he doesn't have the confidence to get you, he's not going to have the confidence to keep you.
Well, I might have to disagree a little bit, because nowadays, because of all the things we just talked about, Me Too and all the different things, like being able to open the door, like we were talking about, turn the light on, like giving a little bit of like, hey, I want to connect with you. And then having the ability to go, okay, I open the door. Now, I want to talk to you. Now be a man kind of thing. Cause we keep asking for the light. We keep asking them to turn the green light on, whatever, give us a little sign. So if you walk up to a guy and you're like, hey, I know the general social atmosphere or whatever that we're in right now is not so approachable, in the world today, we're less approachable or whatever it is. So here, I would like to chat with you. Go. You like kind of open the door. But yeah, to Kirk's point, I think even to Heather's point, like it kind of depends. Like, who are you approaching and what's, some guys will go, cool. Like now the door's open, so I'm going to take my role. I'm going to step into my space because now I know I can, versus being stuck in those dynamics.
I think the female approach should be just turning your light on, being open energy wise, making a friendly eye contact, letting a guy know that he has the green light. It's like, the dragster at the start line. He don't go until that light drops green. Let him know. And I think that's your approach. I think any more than that, then you're not the light, you're not the track, you're the driver. If you want to be the driver, then cool. But I would say that female approach should be, man, my light is as bright as it can be right now. You either going to take this or you're not. And if you don't take it, then
One of the things we're seeing a lot now, because there's a lack of traditional marriage, there's a lack of traditional relationships, so there's a lot of back and forth, and especially with ladies being more in their masculine because they're running businesses, they're entrepreneurs, they're in C-suite jobs and things like that. And we've talked to the guys quite a bit about, hey, help your lady get back into her masculine or get back into her feminine, get out of the masculine, get back into the feminine. Like, okay, help her shift so that you can get into your natural role. Like when she comes home and put a glass of wine out, get her PJs out, like get her in a ponytail and her flip flops, and like get her comfortable and like help her make that shift so that you can be. Because when you get the two masculine energies coming home together, like it doesn't go well. It's a lot of button heads. Yeah. What do you think? What do you say to that?
Oil and water. I couldn't agree more. And I actually know a friend of mine does that. So him and his wife have a business together, a coaching business and podcast. And that's what he does in the evening, runs her a bath to get her back into her feminine essence. And they've figured out that balance.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like finding the balance nowadays, knowing that the polarity, because a lot of people I think have misunderstood that when we talk about the polarity or opposites attract, it's the polarity of masculine, feminine energy. Mm-hmm. And so understanding that we have both, and that, each of us has a quota, or not a quota, but a ratio. So like maybe I'm 70-30 masculine and feminine. Some people are 80-20 and vice versa. Like ladies can be, 80-20 feminine to masculine, but we have both. And because we're out in the business world, we all get into that masculine energy. And so when we come home, we have to be able to support each other and be a team and go, okay, now it's home time. Now we got to get into those roles. You got to get in your feminine role. I got to get, into my home masculine role. And for guys, it's easier. We have the boxes. We don't have the Christmas lights all strung together in our brains. Have you ever seen that on YouTube where the guy talks about the difference between men's brains and women's brains? Men's brains have the boxes. So we go, okay, work box, home box, nothing box. That's our favorite box. And then, sports box or whatever else. So we have the different boxes that we just go, okay, I'm moving to this box. So it's easier for us sometimes to make that switch. We know that everything's connected for the most part in the ladies' brain. So sometimes it's hard for her to go, let that go and then switch. So like having that moment, would that make sense to you?
When we get back from this break, I have a challenging question for you, Heather, for women. We have a lot of women that listen to this show.
We do, mostly women, actually.
There's a lot of women, and I have a challenging question for you directed to the women, because some of them need help. And I think you're the one to do it. I think you've been called for this moment to help women. And I have a question for you. When we come back, Mad Men of Masculinity, KLDC 1220 AM, Denver, Colorado. Be right back.
I'm going to have waters for you too, but you got yours.
Boom. Good stuff. Good stuff. It's funny because we never really know what direction any of these conversations is going to go in. But, they always end up with some kind of great theme with a lot of stuff to glean from the theme.
And feel free to jump in. Like if something catches your attention, just be like, oh, and then we'll throw it to you, because we can run off at the mouth sometimes and forget that we're supposed to be.
And if Jason's ever wrong or cray, tell him.
I think just most importantly, it's
why I gotta be wrong.
Women have just gotten too far in their masculine and
wait.
Okay.
We're gonna jump right into that.
Wait. I spilled water all over.
Hate it when that happens.
It's hot out. It'll dry.
Okay.
Sometimes I just pour water down my shirt just to arouse Jason.
That's not the word. That's
works for you guys.
That's not the word I usually use. It's not arousal.
We're still live here. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody, y'all forget I said that.
It's usually disgusting. Anyway. Welcome back to the Mad Men of Masculinity radio show, podcast, and everything out
Entertainment
there.
Factory.
That's the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted.
That's what we do. We curate dopeness.
We curate
for the Mad Men Mafia.
Yes.
We got Heather Hakes in the Hayes house. HeatherHakes.com.
She is the voice of all women today.
Oh, she's speaking for all of y'all. All of y'all women. You got a problem with it with this show? You see her. You got her website down there. You hit her up. Can they find you on Facebook and all that stuff and social medias and all that?
I'm on all the platforms.
All right.
All the platforms.
Y'all got problems, you hit her up. You say, girl, when you said that, I ain't know, girl.
Just be ready, because she's going to change your mind. She's going to get in that head and start messing around and make you
Mindset.
smarter and better.
All right, so here's my challenging question.
You
You almost went there, Laz, when we were having the offline conversation here, and I didn't want to go there yet. I want to get this on the record. All right, I wanted to make this legit in front of the audience and everything. So, it's very common now for women to, really all of us, to not be able to find or not exist in spaces that are genuinely feminine. We don't spend a lot of time outside in beautiful nature. We don't spend a lot of time in the arts, and we don't spend a lot of time in the fluidity that the life and universe has to offer, right? Just by culture. Therefore, a lot of women have a hard time getting in their feminine because you got to work, you got kids, you got, all this, you got to do this, you got to go, you got to do, and it becomes do. You got all these things, right? So it's hard for women to but how do I do that? Like, how do I get into my feminine space? Especially if I don't have anybody to help me get into I want to get in a feminine space because I want to meet a masculine man. So if I don't have a masculine man, it's harder to get in my feminine space. How do women get into that place where they exude that feminine space and they don't have RB face?
Yes. I will share what has worked for me. So I first learned about feminine masculine energy back in 2017. It was actually at Date with Destiny Tony Robbins event. And when I learned about it, I had no idea. I come from a corporate background. I no longer do that. So not only was I corporate background, but I was in the financial industry, then I was in oil and gas and legal. So it was very male driven. I had taken on so much masculine energy because I thought in order to be heard, I had to match the energy in the room, only to find out feminine energy is so powerful and magnetic when we drop into it's called the womb space. Women, check this out. Google feminine energy in the womb space. But when you drop back into your womb space, we are actually more magnetic and powerful than try and put on this front. So here's how I'll share how I have learned.
Tissue.
I love athleisure. I'm an athletic girl. I love endurance events. But how I've gotten back into my feminine essence, I wear earrings. I love accessorizing. I wear earrings. I paint my nails. My toes and nails are always painted. I wear dresses again. I dance and have fun at home. I do yoga, understanding that mind-body connection. You got to get back into your body. So women, you got to figure out what works for you. But Kirk touched on is that creativity. I love cooking and baking, and you got to get back into that essence that feels good to you often.
I like that. Because that's one of the things too, is we talk so much about, okay, when you're in a relationship, guys got to have their guy friends, girls got to have their girlfriends so that they can get back into their natural energy and then recharge, basically. Because when you're stuck together all the time trying to take on the world as this team, this the superhero team of you and your partner, you tend to start to emulate each other's energies, and so you become less feminine, he becomes more feminine and less masculine, all that stuff. So you got to go out, and in a lot of ways this is the same sort of thing. You got to find these things that get you back into that natural femininity. And it's interesting because I've talked to Navy SEALs and upper brass, higher military officers. And, they're talking about they're dealing with the alpha males or the alpha males. But to do that, they get into a feminine energy. And they basically, these guys just listen to them that way. They are more magnetic. They're more impactful because we as men are wired to care for and to protect the feminine. So when you get back into your feminine energy, to your point, we will most likely get into our masculine energy and be that guy. But nowadays, I think guys are losing their masculinity because they're in a competition with ladies in their masculinity.
Okay, I love that you brought that up because that's what I'd say there's about 8 girls, women in my age, we're about 36 to 42, quote, successful, driven, independent, have our own homes. We have a lot going for us. So technically we don't, quote, need a man. But you are 100% right. Again, I think that too Miss Independent went too far. Men have become they're not masculine. They're not. I guess I'm old school. I want chivalry. I want you to open the door, but I contribute. If you take me to dinner and then we go have drinks, I'm going to offer to pay for drinks. I believe in that contribution.
Right.
But yeah, men, you kind of lost your pants.
Well, and there's some science behind it too. I was listening to scientists talk about since the 60s and 70s when birth control became a big thing and ladies got on birth control, part of the original feminist movement. What we don't realize is that all that estrogen that goes out of the ladies' bodies into the water, they don't filter that out. They don't do anything with that. So there's more and more estrogen. So for the last 50 years, there's more and more estrogen in like our drinking water. So guys are getting estrogen that they don't need. And if you look at pictures from even the 60s and 70s, you look back, 18-year-olds with hairy chests and big broad shoulders and things like that. Now guys are looking more and more feminine because there's just more estrogen. And of course, everything being in plastic, that creates estrogen in the body. So it fights against our natural testosterone. So for a lot of us, especially a lot of our guys like us in our middle years, we've got to go boost our testosterone. We got to take testosterone replacement therapy. We got to do peptides. We got to do a lot of different things with our hormones. And I don't know if it's even the same with ladies, but it might be something to look into. Maybe there needs to be some hormonal therapy to help them balance their testosterone and estrogen. I don't know. Did I lose you?
I love it kind of. I'm not. I went to public school, man. You way over.
We had that conversation, man.
We totally did. I'm still wrapped up in this what do you call it? Your womb space? Is that what you call it? I'm just
Don't be creepy.
Not yours. Not your womb space, but I'm just the whole notion of 87% of what men do is to get into the feminine womb space, right? That, you got to understand like the core nature of that. So when you amputate that, you have amputated so much of your power as a woman. Female power is not masculinity. That's toxic femininity. Female power is your power to incubate and your power to grow things and to produce. We can plant seeds, but without your garden, that seed is going to just go nowhere, right? And so, so the true power of femininity, of womanhood womanhood is that femininity. And man, that you talk about that. Did you call it? I want to make sure. Womb space, is that what you called it?
Yes, you can learn about this, and it's called The Art of Feminine Presence. Actually, the woman that teaches it, I think she's up in Loveland. But women, you can use your hands to touch just below the belly button, your womb space, and literally to drop into it, to connect with it.
I'm really trying to not be.
Don't be dirty.
I'm really trying because I'm fitty now, right? So my filter is really hard for me to not say stuff that come to my mind.
We're on the air, man.
We're totally on the air. There's FCC Airways and all that kind of stuff.
Don't be dirty.
Get our producer fined and all those kind of things.
No, it makes total sense.
Inner womb, we all trying to get. we are. No, I'm just saying, like innerly, like that space is power. That space is like the radiance of that's the juice. Like that's the gravy that you take the biscuit and just no. Because that's there's so much power in that. There's so much there to be tapped into that I think we miss out on that. And the world is suffering because we don't have that. And I think men are suffering because we haven't yet kind of figured out who we are. Our identity is a little bit off, collectively speaking. So many of us are trying to co-opt femininity, in my opinion. Yeah. Whether it's adapting or whether it's literally trying to become that, change into that and take over that and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, no. First of all, we can't. But anyhow, I think there's so much power in that. And to your point of women being able to tap into that space, like that is some power. Like you ain't going to walk into a room full of dudes and come in with your metaphorical chest out and all your grr and actually have any kind of real power. You'll just be seen as the B in the RBF, right? And so to be able to exude that is, obviously, you're talking Costco next to the butter. You heard the story. It happened, folks. But that to me, that's the magic in that whole thing. I think that's brilliant. That womb, I need that womb space.
Here's what I believe the biggest takeaway is, and I think we could all agree on. We're missing that authenticity. So if both men and women can drop their guards, where a lot of people are wearing fronts and masks and protective barriers, it's literally called a heart wall if you look into the motion code. But if we all can drop that and be our authentic masculine, feminine presence and energies, we will have that attraction that we all desire again.
Yeah, all of us are wanting to be seen and to be understood, but we've been taught for 50 years now to not be who we are.
Yeah.
So when we come back from this break, we're going to be who we are and dig in deeper to Dating Today with Heather Hakes. Mad Men of Masculinity, KLDC. We'll be right back.
You was like 2 minutes early on that one.
Was I?
Sure was.
It said 40, so I thought we were close to it. But
Well,
you know why?
Public school. You was doing that public school math.
Well, you know why? Because we had a long break last time. So.
There's so many avenues to go down.
Yeah. And an hour is just not enough. We need like a 3-day weekend just to scratch the surface. But
I mean I'm sorry, I'm still kind of
Well, no, that is awesome because we have most of our viewership is ladies. So get back in your womb space, ladies.
If we want that masculine energy, we have to drop it.
Drop it like it's hot.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. And you know, they always say, like, when you're about to have a baby, the baby drops. Where does that baby drop? Down in that womb space. You know? See, I'm seeing all of that, man. I'm just anyhow. All right, let's go. We're gonna be on this joint all day. You know?
Bring us back.
Is this the last one? This is the last segment.
Last one.
God, man, this ain't fair, man. I see why they be doing 3 and 4 hour podcasts, man. Because this is all right.
Just get warmed up.
That's all right. Mad Men of Masculinity,
KLDC,
12:20 a.m.
in the Mile High City.
We didn't even practice that, people. That's just how we roll.
We're just good like that.
That's right. You better recognize that's how we roll. That's how we roll. That's Heather Hakes in the house. She's dropping some straight up knowledge up in this bad boy, man. She is. I'm telling you, seriously, I could use a tissue right now because I got like a little tear. One of them, like, you know, not a gang tear, but like one of those, like, because, man, I'm telling you, this is some serious knowledge, man. This is good stuff.
Well, what was so encouraging why I wanted to have her on, because she's saying a lot of the same things we're saying, but she's coming from the feminine space. So it's nice to have us coming together going, yes, you need to have the polarity. You need to be in your masculine. You need to be in your feminine. And we want to have these conversations so we know what we're bringing to the table. And because we've talked so much about relationships are about service. It's not 50-50. It's 100-100. You're both there to serve the relationship and each other. But that's not what we're hearing out in the world today. It's all about what you done for me lately.
And so many people, so many women. I mean, and can I be straight up, Heather? Can I just be real?
Be honest.
Please.
So many women who have the pretty girl advantage that you have can easily get away with that and let that be all that they think that's involved in just being attractive, right? And to me, that's such a shortcut, and it's such a low-hanging fruit. And I think when men just kind of go for that, man, you go for the low-hanging fruit, but you don't realize that the sweetest fruit is at the top of the tree, right? And so, but a lot of women get away with just the pretty girl stuff, and they can be as ugly as they want to be, you know, because they kind of got that working. Whether some of it is manufactured, right? Some of it is literally, you know, so artificial. You walk up to somebody, you can just ask them who their doctor is. They do good work, right? But I mean, so to be able to present that and to be able to have kind of the mindset and perspective that you do, big kudos. I mean, you know, I respect you big time. I mean, and that's, you know, from a guys, we offer respect, and I appreciate all that kind of stuff, because that is some serious knowledge. That's some serious wisdom.
I have to bring up what Jason just said about that 100-100. I couldn't agree more, but think about the conditioning we've been programmed with. What comes to mind is Jerry Maguire. You complete me. So many people are feeling unfulfilled and not whole because they're waiting for that relationship to, quote, complete them. Now, I think of it as a metaphor. I believe I am the ice cream sundae and he's the cherry or sprinkles on top. Like, he's an added bonus. But I have to come fulfilled, living my best life, and they're the bonus. They don't complete me. And that's something people haven't figured out.
Yeah, that's what a lot of guys are missing nowadays, is that we're not getting the sprinkles or the cherry. We come in and with all these expectations, and that's one of the things I want to bring up and ask you, because I think it's something you've brought up before, but there's this gigantic list of expectations, and a lot of it I think has just been sold to ladies during, you know, the feminist movement or whatever. It's like, you got to get a top tier man. He's got to be 6 feet, 6 figures. He's got to, you know, have 6 inches and 6-pack abs and all these different things and all the big sixes. But then there's a lot of ladies, and you said it earlier, you get what you get who you are. And so we keep telling ladies, like, you need to stop buying into this manufactured list thing of he's got to have all these things, but you're not that.
Okay, so I firmly believe have your non-negotiables. Have your would likes and your must-haves. Now, I have definitely, I mean, I think we're all attracted to a quote certain type. I do like those 6 foot, athletic, but I'm open to, I don't care if they're bald. Maybe he's a little shorter, but I do like him athletic. So figure out what are your non-negotiables. My non-negotiable must-haves is a growth mindset and somebody who is self-aware. Those other things, that superficial stuff, because we're all going to age, I don't care so much about that stuff anymore. I want to be treated well. And him, we align in our values. That's most important to me at this point.
Yeah, and that, I mean, even to Kirk's point, like a lot of the girls have gotten caught into pretty girl syndrome and princess syndrome, and then they get older and they're like, what happened to where's my castle and my Malibu Barbie house? Is like, you're not that anymore.
I think men of value undervalue themselves. I think there's a lot of good guys. On one hand, man, one of our fatal flaws as guys is, we go after something we shouldn't be going after. One of our fatal flaws as guys is, man, we get so superficial with so many different things. And it's like, come on, man. I mean, first of all, from a young age, we kind of get programmed by culture to consume women as opposed to connecting with women. Yeah. And you can't love anything that you consume, and you can't have intimacy with any person that you consume. And so we have a consumption mindset, relationally speaking. And like I said, I think men literally consume women even digitally, and I think it sets us up for failure in terms of how we see women, and we don't have the ability to relate because we see you all quite often as objects, which I think also gives you a leg up, because if you can present as an object, then we just hand it all over to you. You're like, here's my keys, here's my wallet, and all that kind of stuff, just because I want some pretty arm candy. I want something that, I'm not saying looks don't matter, because they do to everybody, but they shouldn't be the thing. And so I think, a lot of times, we kind of have our mindsets as men that maybe we should get less, just 1 or 2 layers beneath the surface. And maybe, even though I hate the phrase that goes both ways. I hate that phrase. But either way, I think culturally speaking, how we relate to each other, men and women, maybe if we got a little bit beneath the surface and started to look at the essence of who we are and the humanity of who we are, and begin to connect on the person as opposed to the avatar.
Yeah, I mean, looks attract, character connects. So it's the looks that get you in the door, but it's the character and the personality that connects you. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I've noticed, and even when Kirk's talking about as men, we've been programmed to consume women. What I'm seeing now is a lot of ladies who, especially in their masculinity and their boss babe, they're starting to consume men like men. I mean, they're starting to act in a lot of ways like men do. And then they're wondering why later on down the road, men are like, I don't know, your body count's kind of high. Your expectation is kind of high. Your energy is very masculine. I'm not sure if I would even want to go there. What do you think?
Well, I want to ask you guys, because again, I'm
see, just like a lady, she answers a question with a question.
Well, this is crossing my mind because of this. I got on apps and I went on a couple dates with this guy. I am very forward and transparent. I date with intention. I do not date for a free meal or if someone to entertain me.
Right.
And so I want to ask you guys, does that scare you off, or do you appreciate that?
It depends. I mean, which date, and is it, are you still in the fun part? Because sometimes you can scare off guys when it's like, I'm too intentional. Like, it's our first date. This is where I want to get married. This is how many kids I want to have. And it's like, like during one thing. Plus, even to your point, a lot of girls are dating for free meals and entertainment. Yeah. So sometimes when you come in serious, the guy's like, I'm not even sure how to deal with this. I'm so used to these, ladies over here who are just using men for free meals and entertainment.
We teach people how to treat us. So
how many times have we said that?
We are not victims. We are not victims to that. And men, like I am totally fine with a coffee date because I know dating is expensive. I do not expect dinner on a first date. But then on the flip side, women are like, well, but if we set the bar too low, then that'll be the standard.
Yeah, I started doing walking dates. Like, let's go out and we'll walk by the river, so we're both
No,
out
you
in
don't,
public.
man. You do walking dates?
Yeah, I do
As
walking
long as,
dates.
like, it's
No.
like the go-to.
It's perfect because we're out in public, we're getting some exercise, and then if we don't like each other, we can just run away.
Oh, see,
But it's also quick, you know.
Like, I'll be right back.
Well, it's kind of thing like nowadays. I mean, I've even heard some ladies say they Zoom potentials first, like they want to have a Zoom meeting before they even meet because they want to have like a conversation, and it's like just meet in person. That's why I'm such a hater of apps, because like get in person because you need to feel the chemistry and the energy.
Yeah.
But I get it. I mean, it's a digital age, you know, we're in a social media age as well, that sometimes you're going to meet your person. I mean, Kirk, he's one of the lucky ones. He met his person online.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with having some communication prior to meeting, a phone call. Duh. I mean, remember that? Remember those things?
You mean these phones that we text with?
Talk to people?
They actually.
I mean, on one hand, I don't see anything wrong with having at least some preliminary conversations to, can I even talk to this person for a few minutes kind of thing? Or are they dumb as a bag of rocks?
Yeah.
I mean, but then at the same time, absolutely, you know, nothing wrong with, I had a lot of coffee dates. A lot of coffee dates.
He had a lot of coffee dates.
Man, stars. I mean, I should have bought stock in Starbucks.
You should have.
I should have.
You wouldn't even need a day job no more. You'd be good.
Man, I'd be rich. But anyhow, you know, and so I think to be able to do that. But back to your question, to date with intentionality and to date with all that, I think it would be intimidating for a guy to sit down with that at least on a first date, if it's presented like, okay, it's all business. Let's get here and let's, you know, give me some stats, give me some whatever. Like, I'm testing you out. You know, this is an interview. If it comes off with that kind of energy, then I think it could be either intimidating or a turnoff for a guy. I think if a woman is just receptive and just presenting as open and soft to a degree, yet intentional, every single one of us is here biologically because of a strong, erect male and a soft, receptive female. Every single one, biologically, none of us would be here if it wasn't for that dynamic. So I think, you know, for her, to your question, I think for her, or even for you or whomever, to show up on a coffee date and just being open and receptive and being all those kinds of things, yet being intentional, meaning, to your point, I'm not here for a freebie, a handout, or anything like that. And, you know, maybe even offering, you know, can I get this? And then seeing if he says yeah, or if he says no, I got this. I mean, you know, that could be a test kind of thing. But if I was talking to my daughter, I would say, you know, just be open with energy and with presence, and let him enter into that or not.
Yeah, you'll see who he is, and then you'll probably get all the answers you want anyway by being open and present and honest. Because so many ladies nowadays, especially our boss babes and our independent ladies who have their jobs, they go on these coffee dates and it's like they're interviewing the guy. He's like interviewing for a job. And if he has any self-respect and self-awareness and has any value, he's not going to be really appreciative of being interviewed. He's here to try to get to know a person. He's not interviewing for a job. And they see that so much. They go, well, tell me about your job and tell me about your 5-year plan and what are you doing this? And then guys just like, no, I'm not.
Well, it's the same for us. I hate the interview dates. So, for example, the last one I did, I like light and playful. I want to flirt and be childlike. That's what we're all missing. Dating is supposed to be fun because at some point, hopefully, you know, if that's what you want.
You're supposed to be having fun.
You will be hitched. And so you won't be multi-dating anymore. But we went and played putt-putt. We had fun. We had little mini bets in between. We played some truth or dare. Like, I had so much fun on that date.
I love putt-putt dates.
JBK, that's what you should do, some walking putt-putt dates.
That's what I'm saying.
You can
I love
work in your golf
dates.
game, you can work in a short game, and you can actually be on the date at the same time. Heather, can we please have you back?
Yes.
Pretty please?
Yes.
You promise? Pinky promise? Can we get a pinky promise?
You stirred the pot. You stirred the pot, and we're going to get some comments, so we're going to have you back to answer those comments.
I mean, I'm just, I was kind of a little skeptical, like, you know, really? I mean, come on, she's, you know, I don't.
He doesn't trust me. You see what we're doing here. I'm like, hey, Heather Hakes coming on. I brought her in. And he's like,
I'm like, yeah, I've seen her around and stuff. Social media.
He doesn't trust me.
But we've got it. Like, seriously, you're freaking amazing. Before we get off of here, though, in the meantime, before we have some
in between time,
how can folks get a hold of you?
The best place to start is my website directly, heatherhakes.com. I'm on all the social platforms. I have my own podcast, but I would start at the website.
And then you mentioned you do, like, what's the series that you do? or do you do it like Jason was talking about in the very beginning, talking about your dating and your dating experiences, or what was that? Is that
No. My podcast is Mind Over Matter. So I really am all about teaching mindset, self-awareness, manifestation, habits, and I have all kinds of guests on all over the spectrum.
Nice. Sometimes people think I'm on the spectrum, but that's different.
Well, the spectrum includes everybody, man.
Well,
That's why it's a spectrum.
Sure. Right on. Thank you. So, like, seriously, they're like, this was just flat out dope. I appreciate it big time. HeatherHakes.com. You guys send her some love, show her, just say, hey, what's up, all that kind of stuff. Check out our website, all those kind of good things that we will absolutely. We got to have you back. Like, it's mandatory.
Yeah, send us your Heather Hicks questions. Send us your love and hate, and we will bring her back, and we will address those issues because she's got some answers that you probably haven't heard, or maybe we said it and you didn't want to hear it. So maybe you'll listen to her.
Yeah. No more flakes. We're going to bring back Heather Hakes. Boom!
There it is.
Boom! That just happened. That just happened. Hey, check us out, madmenradio.com, Facebook, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And let us know what you like, what you don't like, if we're crazy, if we're ugly, if we're silly, if we're genius, if we're way ahead of time, all those kind of good things.
Because all publicity is good publicity.
Absolutely. So
send it our way.
We love every single one of y'all, Madmen Mafia. And with that, the Madmen are
out.